attached.
Are processing gal that prepares the minutes said the meeting was so long she just hasn't finished.
Too long a meeting. How could that be?
It was a short one.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's get the meeting started. Should we do a roll call?
Yes, we'll start with the roll call this evening. Chair Moon,
Here.
Vice Chair Ghaffari. Here. Commissioner Holmbrook.
Present.
And Commissioner Burr, not here at this time.
Is Burr going to be dialing in later?
Yes.
Great. So so I guess the minutes are not ready for this session, so we're going to move that to the next session that we have to approve. So we're going to move over that.
That is correct.
Okay, great. All right, so let's go into the action items. A-1, the Heritage and Arts Commission Art Installation Project. Is there a person here that would like to present or talk?
Yes, Chair. Yes, we have the Chair and Vice Chair of the Heritage and Arts Commission that will be presenting this evening.
Hello, Post Commissioners. Nice to be back. Thank you for having us. Couple of updates. We have a new revised proposal here to walk you through. And we basically feel that we have incorporated, as you will see, the suggestions that came out of the discussion in our last meeting with you. I'd like to also give you a little update on Scott and some of the work that he's doing with Word on the Street. He's currently part of a major public art installation in Boston, in the city of Boston, called Winterfest. And I encourage you to look at that if you like online. I'm happy to send you some links, but he's gotten rave reviews in the city of Boston as well. So we are not alone. Let's see. Here's the revised. Okay, so I guess we've gone through all of this. The main points are that here we go. I don't know if we can we.
Oh, yeah. Here, let me.
Is there a way to? Yeah, there we go. That's what we want to see. So we took away the sign locations from Cypress Hollow and Tether Park. And we also, we heard you when you said you wanted, more and in more visible places. So in our discussions with Scott, we decided that we'd make a kind of a linear walk that could be discovered from the ferry terminal all the way down to Blackie's, close to Blackie's pasture. And all told, I think there are, let's see, 10, 11, 15 signs. That's right. And so I'm going to just take you through this, and I want to reiterate that, we hope to have some signage about this project at the ferry terminal when people get off the ferry and when they come, to town, or when they're downtown, so they can understand that there is an art walk essentially, and it goes through our beautiful along our bike path and through our beautiful parks, and they can also discover it online. There will be a QR code as well, and the text panels around the signs will also state that it is part of an artist installation by Scott Froschauer, and And again, a QR code that you can, go to a digital map to discover them. So it's a bit of a treasure hunt, I suppose. Okay, so let's move on here. There we go. Scott, one of the things that we asked him to do was to create a sign specifically for Tiburon, for the spirit of Tiburon. And after some back and forth, he settled on cast off. Sort of like, now you're here, let go, be free, and see what you can find, what you can discover. And I think that's quite an apt phrase for our marina and, sort of maritime peninsula location. And so that's the starting point. Then, and you can see where exactly he wants to place that. And we can, discuss that if that's something that you guys want to. All of the locations, again, like I said, he's amenable to changing around. But, we did have some thought as to make sure that they're away from the streets and they won't be interfering with any actual traffic. So there's cast off. Then there's along the numbers 2 and 3. It's not really the old rail. He's calling it the old rail trail, but it's really the bike path there.
That is the old rail.
It is also the old rail trail. Okay, yeah. I was thinking it's the one near Trestle, but that's the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Near Trestle, then yeah.
Yeah.
So I think everybody knows this spot. There's one near the BTC there, and then there's also one by some trees. So they're well away from the road. Then we have Wonder and Wander. These are going further down the bike path. Oh, wait a minute. I'm confused. Hold on. Oh, okay. Yeah, no. These are near the tennis court and San Rafael Avenue. Yeah, okay. Then these are near Gilmartin and just before you get to south of Knoll.
The next slide.
And that's the next slide. Yeah. Oh, that's this one. Yeah, this one. BTC right before you get to south of Knoll. And then there are 3 locations here along the bike path near south of Knoll, in the middle where we had Thomas Jackson's array of 700 fabric pieces, and then up by the gazebo, close to the gazebo there. And then 9, 10, 11 in various points around Blackie's. And one is near, the sort of the benches near Richardson Bay there. And then there's a little bridge there. And of course, by Trestle Glen. And then finally, an array of signs at the back of Zielinski Park against the fencing there, which will still enable people to make use of the park if they want to for events. He's not sticking them right in the middle or anything like that. And, you can read some of the thinking around his signage in this. I'm not going to go through it in detail with you today, but it's all there. In the proposal, for example, by placing signs that emulate "do not enter" on the fence line, the installation blurs the line of practicality, leaving the observer to wonder what's in there that it has so many "do not enter" signs around it. So there's a little bit of humor as well. And I think that's really the main gist of it. Here's the current exhibition, which is very popular in Boston. It's part of Boston's larger public art program called Winter Active, intended to get people out into the snow and ice and sleet. We don't have that problem here, but he is part of a number of artists who have been selected. And I'm from Boston, and I can tell you right now, as somebody who worked at the Boston Museum of Fine Arts, it is a pretty art snobby town. So I'm happy to have that discussion with anybody who thinks that these are not works of art or that it's not an installation art, conceptual art project. Finally, we've got all of his, installation considerations, and we're happy to work with everyone here at the town hall, of course. But he's been doing this, again, as you know, all over the country, and he's got it down to a real science. So he knows exactly what he's doing. He's got the funding there. The proposed cost for 6 months is $20,000. One of the nice things, generously, Scott has suggested that we can also place these signs for sale at the end of the project. Should anybody want to purchase them, they're not that expensive. And of course, some of that, we get a commission. We get a 20% commission on that. So there is the possibility of earning back some of the funds that we have also put in. And we haven't spent any of our war chest over the last, 18 months now, almost, something like that, 18 months. And we have another project coming up, which we will be talking to you about for the fall as well, to overlap, but that's later. So we're in a good spot. And these are, again, I don't think he put Boston back in here, but these are all the places that he has been showing in museums and galleries. Any questions or suggestions? We're happy to tweak again if we need to, but we're hoping that if you guys feel this is a good one, then we can bring it to the town council for final approval.
Just have a couple questions if I can go first. One is, I think you may want to just double check with TPD, Tiburon Police Department, just to make sure that everything's copacetic where some of the locations are. I think they're all great. I think they're all great, but you may need to talk to Belvedere, which is on 2 and 3. That first one, number 2, I think is in Belvedere's property on the Tom Price Park, that first deck on the X on the lower right. I would also maybe suggest, just for fun, is you may want to swap them, because if you put Do Your Best right there in front of Read, it would be kind of fun. Because there's lots of kids that get dropped off either on Lagoon on the Belvedere side and walk through the park, or riding their bikes. And you'll get more higher just kids going like, what's that mean? Or parents going, can you read that?
Chuck, I'm glad you brought up the kids factor here, because for us who are behind this project, a huge part of this is to reach the children. I think you're absolutely right.
So I think maybe swapping those, but you may need to touch base with Belvedere. I don't know on that bottom right X. David, you would know better than me, but I think I know there's kind of a gray area there.
Between the old rail trail and, the DG and the tennis courts, the property line's somewhere like in the middle there.
So could we do it on the side of Old Rail Trail that is
Uphill.
Tiburon Boulevard?
Yeah, that's our side.
That would be better.
Without getting too close to the street.
Yeah, it doesn't have to actually be up the hill.
No.
Yeah, it's just on that side of the lowered area.
Nobody from who's driving would be able to really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just may want to think about that.
Okay.
And there was,
Get around.
yeah, to Do Your Best, which is, I think, fun. I think and not to say there's many projects going on, but there's a beach restoration project going on for number, I don't know if it would be 9, 10, or 11. Yes. So the one that says attention note of what it feels like to be alive right now. I don't know if that would interfere with.
We can push it, there's space there.
Well, I just want to be sensitive. I want to keep it there. I don't want to move it to the west, because there's people's homes right there. One of the people whose homes it is here actually tonight. So I just want to make sure that that doesn't interfere. David knows that construction of that project better than I do.
Yeah, it's pretty much right there where the construction will be. When did you plan on installing these and for how long?
6-month project, but he can move it anywhere, you know,
Okay.
back. I mean, he's
Yeah.
not wedded to any exact spot.
Yeah.
you know? So if he needs to push it back towards the, towards the parking lot there behind, he can do that too. You know,
Yeah.
there are benches. I mean, I'm assuming that they're not doing a beach restoration project where the benches are. on
No,
that spot.
this, like you have it here now, but if it's, let's just say somewhere here, that'll work also. We plan on starting construction in September and it's about a 4-week long project. And, if that sign goes there prior to us starting construction, yeah, we'll just coordinate with you, Arjun, and have our contract. It's the county's running this project. We'll have them just relocate it back, and when it's done, put it back in the same spot when they're up. Yeah.
I also want to give a little more feedback if, before we move on, that the ARC did post about this project in Nextdoor. And the last time I looked, I think we had something like 65 likes and 3, thumbs down. So it was overwhelmingly supported. Of course, the comments section is a whole other idea because the ARC did put in the word high traffic areas. And so everybody some people freaked out about being near actual moving traffic, which is not at all what we had intended. So just so you know, there's been, a little bit of press around it. And then there's been some very vocal people who are like, this isn't art, or these are just signs, it's clutter. And, I came here to do my doctorate in art history. That's why I moved to California. I'm not going to get into that conversation or discussion with anybody. I'm not going to sort of litigate that. There's plenty of evidence to show that conceptual and installation art uses words and language and everyday objects. But I will also say that we've also had many, many more people who have come and said how much they're thrilled, how much their children are thrilled. I think we have a member of the public here, a second grader. Do you want to come up and say anything? No? Do you like the project? Yeah. Do you want to tell them?
Well, I will say, yeah, I shared the feedback earlier at our meeting in December, but just that the positivity in the signs, it's nice for kids to read that because they don't read a lot of positivity out there. And also the Read PTA does a walk and roll along this path every month. So kids and families will be biking this every month to school. So I think it'll be
Nice.
good for our community.
Yeah, my only other question is, have you guys reached out to the chamber to figure out how to publicize this and do some other activities? I think it'd be good. Anything commercial for the town is good. So
Yeah, that is in the marketing plan. Absolutely. Yeah.
and they might be able to use their space for selling other things associated to this. So you may just want to reach out because they have a commercial space on Main Street.
Right.
So
Right.
okay, that's all my questions.
Does the QR code is behind each sign? Is that how?
I mean, we haven't really figured it out yet. I think the idea is to place it, attach it to the post of the sign, like maybe not up by the sign itself, but maybe
Yeah.
towards the ground so it doesn't interfere with anybody or anything. So you can look down and see,
Okay.
the name of the artist, the date, the title of the piece, word on the street, and then a QR code. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, if there's a way, I don't know how the technology works, but if the idea is to sell the installations to try to recoup your cost, I don't know what format you're doing to sell that, but if you could somehow, with that QR code experience, everyone who's seen it gets on a list and gets contacted that, hey, these are for sale, you'll have a much bigger market and demand for that resale value, I would imagine.
Love that idea. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
And then the other comment or thought just that came to my mind was in partnership with Tiburon businesses. I love this scavenger hunt idea. And, if we could get people coming from San Francisco on the ferry and it's like, I want to do this scavenger hunt and QR code everyone. If you could have some kind of badge that like I did it or something. And with that, maybe you get 10% off at Sam's or some kind of like, coordination with businesses in Tiburon. I think that would be a nice tie-in
Sure.
for people to kind of have an
And
experience.
it would certainly bring people into the
Yeah.
city and
Yeah.
to the town. Yeah, absolutely. Great idea. Brilliant.
I think it's great. I'm fully supportive. They covered all the questions. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
We've got Tim joined us as well. Hi, Tim.
Tim.
Hey guys, looks great. No questions, no comments. Thank you for the presentation. Appreciate all the updates to the project.
Thank you.
So I think we need to open this up for public comment, right? Yeah. So thank you.
Okay.
Do you have another chance to come up? No. Sure. You can
Anybody
say, "Hey, you
here,
spoke in the town hall?"
Have a public comment? Anybody online?
I see none online.
Okay, so we'll go back to the action item.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think we need much discussion unless you
Nope,
guys have more.
No discussion
I'd
here.
like to take a motion of supporting the project, to move it forward to town council.
I second.
I'll take a roll call. Chair Moon,
Yes.
Vice Chair Gafari,
Yes.
Commissioner Holmbrook, Commissioner Burr.
Yes.
All right,
Yeah,
motion.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
All right, let's move on to A-2, Greenwood Beach Road Multimodal Traffic Safety Assessment.
Thank you, Chair. This evening, I will be presenting the Greenwood Beach Road Multimodal Traffic Safety Assessment that was conducted by Parametrics for the section of Greenwood Beach Road that is from town-owned limits to the end of the cul-de-sac. Why we did this, the history, a little background. During the Caltrans pavement project, SHOP project, that project was also part of the project was to install bicycle lanes on Tiburon Boulevard from Highway 101 all the way to Trestle Glen. Well, that got split up into phase 1, phase 2. Part of that study, when it was all in the first phase, Parametrics did look at the bicycle lanes along Tiburon Boulevard. And in studying those, one of their determination was that having those bike lanes did not add to congestion on the boulevard because the bike lanes were not impeding on any of the travel lanes in and out of Tiburon Boulevard. So that was one of the reports. And then the other was that there was a lot of complaints from residents on Greenwood Beach Road about safety issues on there with bicycle, pedestrian, and vehicle interactions. So as part of those ongoing studies, Town Council created a subcommittee, and it comprised of Vice Mayor Nick Farr and Commissioner Ryan. And Vice Mayor and Council Member Ryan both went out to Greenwood Beach Road, walked it. They had met with residents, and they came back to staff and said, please look at creating or doing a small study here and come up with some recommendations for us to look at. So I contacted Parametrics. We added a small little scope for them to specifically look at that section of the road. And they provided with a list of recommendations, almost like an exhibit. It was an exhibit. I met with the council subcommittee and Parametrics for a review. The subcommittee requested a couple minor changes to those recommendations. Parametrics made those changes and came back to both the subcommittee and staff with their updated exhibit. The subcommittee liked what they saw on there as interim steps. There's short range and long range remedies on there that would help alleviate the bicycle, pedestrian, motorist interactions. And the council subcommittee requested staff to bring these recommendations to the post committee for review and public comment. At this point, this council subcommittee has completed their duties, and now they are just leaving it to the post commission and town staff to work on what we want to implement and what we want to move forward with. So I'll share the exhibit so that the public can see it. Okay, I'll explain this exhibit here. We have long-range recommendations and quick build recommendations. Quick build recommendations are easy installations that town staff can do. Our Public Works Department, like the PD one, which is right here. That's install a 6-inch white edge line. And the reason for that edge line there is to make sure that the cyclists are not riding their bikes close to the homes' driveways, where they'll have interactions with ingress egress from the driveways, and it pushes the cyclists out of that curve and away from the homes and away from the parked cars. Then they're adding some signage like S1 before you get up. It just says that there's a hill going up. Make sure that cyclists are alert. An S3 is sign is installed narrow path and 200 feet signs on sign poles. So what you see there, narrow paths and 200 feet. Again, these are signs to alert cyclists that the road narrows 200 feet ahead. Just, be careful when you're out there. We have some additional signage out here that Parametrics has recommended. Share the road signs, or we can do yield to PEDs in these different locations as you enter and exit Greenwood Beach Road. Now, these are some of the short-term remedies that Parametrics has recommended. And if these recommendations are accepted by the Post Commission and we have no objections from the neighborhood on that street, we can move forward with those quick build, quick, easy, and it'll gauge how it helps on that street. Now, some of the long-term recommendations that they have also looked at is installing a mountable mini roundabout. And these are typically used for cyclists and pedestrians. And what happens here, cyclists use these as traditional roundabouts that you see out in roadways. So the cyclist will ride their bike, come around the corner, and what we want to do is we want to separate the cyclists and the pedestrians. Cyclists are on the right-hand side, pedestrians on the left-hand side. So again, cyclists would come around the roundabout, ingress and egress on the right hand, and pedestrians are split on the left-hand side. So we have some safety there. And those are both long-term recommendations that Parametrics has looked at and is viable for this location, because they've been to that location a few times as well and observed during heavy usage and just standard, random weekday reviews. So with that said, these are the recommendations that Parametrics has recommended, and town staff is ready and able to install, at minimum, the short-term recommendations at this time. And that's the end of my presentation.
Discussion, questions? Yeah.
I have a question. So between the pedestrian path, and this is the long-term recommendations, between the pedestrian path and the bicycle new path, that middle existing road, what is that being used for?
So right now that road has bollards in there. It's for emergency vehicles. So police department, police cars and public works
Mhm.
vehicles. It'll be gated. So, not gated, but it'll have the obstruction in place so that cyclists and pedestrians would not be able to use. We'll have delineated paths for both of them to use the new bike route and the new ped route.
So today though, like, is it illegal for bikers to use that path?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So, but a lot of people use it. So
Yes.
That's the crux. of it.
The middle, the large path,
Mhm.
the paved path that connects the parking lot to Greenwood Beach.
It's
Wait, it's very
illegal for
quick.
bicycles.
I don't think
to
it's
use
illegal for bicycles.
that? No.
Illegal for cars.
For cars.
Yeah.
Illegal for
You
cars,
said
not for
bikes.
bicycles. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay. That makes more sense. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
So
Illegal for
bicycles
cars.
and
Yeah.
pedestrians can use that
Correct.
today. Okay.
Not cars.
So I guess my question is, rather than having a separate pedestrian and bike, could you just widen that existing road and maybe make a mark that says this is pedestrian and this is bike, as opposed to creating two new paths?
We can, we were very cautious about moving traffic, especially to the property to the left. At first, Parametrics said, that'd be a good area to have the cyclists go through, and we said that's not a good idea with the residents right there next to it. It seemed logical to have pedestrians. They're quieter and less, I guess, versus the bikes. But we can definitely look at widening that and having peds and cyclists maybe on either side of it. The main thing is to separate them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready to jump in if you're. So I've probably done that little connection on bike and various means. I'm trying to think, it's about hundreds of times. I'm trying to think if I've hit 1,000 going back 20 years. So I'm very familiar. I'm going to go up and say a couple things. But before I lose the microphone, one, I would say, maybe I'll just use the pointer. Okay. So one, I would say the short-term signs are all easy wins. They probably drive less behavior change. We should do them. They're cost effective. I think the long-term is really, that's the smart thing to actually make a bigger impact. I actually agree. The problem with widening, and I think we need the same principle over on the other side, near the sanitation ponds, widening and just telling people to separate without physical barriers or physical separation. You still get these interactions, unpleasant interactions. When people say interactions, usually euphemism for unpleasant interactions, to be clear. And so I think physical separation actually is what the bicyclists want, what the pedestrians want, and what the neighbor, like everybody just kind of wants physical separation. He uses a lot. So I'm very supportive of that. I get why Parametrics originally said do the bikes here, and I'll explain a couple of things. I think it's fine if the bikes go up there. If so, what I'd recommend is then you have them turn this way, hug the side. I think we need to, and this is something I flagged for Chuck when we're talking about Old Rail and Blackie's Pasture parking in general. How many Blackie's Pasture parking spots do you estimate we have, including the dirt overflow lot? Dozens. I mean, yeah, it's 60. Let's say 60 is a decent estimate. Parking spots. I think we've got like 3 or 4 parking spots along the shoulder. To me, these are the most poorly, thought out or the lowest impact, highest risk, worst parking spots, that in the public areas of Tiburon, because it's forced car interaction with bikes and pedestrians. They're coming in. It's a lot of people from out of town. They don't understand, that bikes are going to fly by, that pedestrians are coming by. And I think it makes no sense. So if I would eliminate these parking spots, I think it's low hanging fruit to take to Parametrics, have both bikes and pedestrians kind of hugging on here. You could have pedestrians. By the way, pedestrians have a lot of ways to access dirt wise, but some kind of, you've got these, you'll get a chance to comment. Sorry. Oh. Okay. I can slow down. I don't know if it's a volume issue. He's saying too rapidly. Okay. Thank you for telling me that. I'll slow down. So what I'm saying is that we should have not cars parked here. There's plenty of other parking spots, and have bikes have to hug this area here versus having a full run of the driveway. I think a lot of the dangerous interactions are a car's trying to park, a bicycle is flying through, pedestrians are all walking in the parking lot, and everybody is confused, and there's a lot of dangerous situations. So I think you keep parking higher just by eliminating less than 5% of the parking spots, and you keep pedestrians and bikes out of the way. So that's my one biggest recommendation for the long term is parametrics who have been a few times who probably don't bike this regularly might not appreciate the need to kind of reroute the bikes down and through there.
That's great.
That'd be my biggest recommendation. I also just have a general recommendation that we need to do more to keep cars out of this stretch in general. You know, having witnessed one of our residents who was having a bad day or a medication issue drive his Porsche onto the actual old rail trail entering here before, and a few of our police officers, other, you know, people speeding through and then suddenly realizing that's not an access road. I think everything we can do to make it less attractive to drive into our public park we're going to develop, there's more there, including bollards and other measures so that, you know, town staff and anyone who needs to get through can get through. But people aren't feeling encouraged to drive in there every once in a while, which is a big risk. Okay.
I have plenty of discussion.
Okay, sorry. I jumped to discussion. I'm sorry.
I have a question. And sorry, I'm just not as familiar with this whole situation, but the roundabout, what purpose does that serve? Like, what's the?
Oh, so the roundabout would basically have the cyclists that are on the right side of Greenwood Beach Road cycling towards Blackie's pasture to go around the roundabout and use the long-term or the long-term recommendation, that new route that they're wanting to add on the right-hand side. So it acts just like a vehicle roundabout. It just forces the cyclists to come around and use the new pathway.
I see. Okay.
It also, it operates as a slowing mechanism. People are coming down that hill, speed sometimes going higher than 20 miles an hour, and then they're about to go hit a parking lot. Many of them don't realize it might be their first time doing this. So we don't want them flying into a parking lot full of cars and pedestrians at those high speeds.
Okay.
I have a question if I can.
Sorry, it's not the process.
Yeah.
The council member Burr has questions, and then you guys have 3 minutes for comments.
Yeah.
That's
Once the commissioners are done asking their questions, then we open it up for public comment. So they're still asking questions, but you'll have your turn as soon as, yeah.
And I just have one question, and thanks for the promotion, Chuck. David, have we, I didn't crack a joke on the first item, but I thought the appearance of the signage on the arts installations are stronger than these proposed signs. I like everything about this. I just, I'm so curious. The S2 signage area. I mean, these are pretty milquetoast signs. Is there an opportunity? And I heard what one of the commissioners said about, signage not being effective. I do think they can be effective if it's different. So I'm just curious if, the town has any limitations in terms of what the signage could be with respect to slow down. There's a lot of places that have us slow down in our town or different visuals that make it very clear to slow down. Yield to pedestrians is great, but what we really need, we need people to do that, but we very clearly need people to slow down as they're entering this next little area. So I'm just curious, I guess I'll pose the question, has there been consideration of stronger signage or do we have any limitations in terms of the type of signage that we could utilize in this location?
Yeah, so the signage that we have to use, they have to be MUTCD, so Caltrans approved signs, and these are all Caltrans approved signs. But Caltrans now, if not, they're not enforceable, so they have to be California.
Okay.
But there's some new color schemes that are coming out, like the lime green. That are also now being used a lot to grab better attention for cyclists and pedestrians. So we'll look into that as well, maybe changing out the color, because the yellow is we use yellow when we're near schools. That's what the yellow color is for. But Lime green could be something that we can use as well, because those are now starting to be used around school sites as well. So that'll kind of grab, there's not the same ordinary yellow sign. It does grab your attention.
Got it. So that's super helpful. Thank you.
Any other questions from commissioners? Okay, let's go to public comment. Does anybody in the room want to come up? Get 3 minutes?
One question before I get into my 3 minutes.
Sure, yeah.
It's a basic question, and
Yeah.
that is to David. Did you prepare with the subcommittee a brief to parametrics describing what, you wanted them to study?
Yes, we did.
You did.
Yes.
Is that able to be released? Is that public information?
It's a task order, work order. So yes, I
So-
can send you that. That's anything on my email is public record. So if you want a
Okay,
copy
no,
of that
I'm just
work order, yeah.
honestly asking because
yeah.
it gives us context for, what we've seen.
Correct.
David,
yes.
if you could send that to the whole council commission, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, with that, thank you. My name is Pam Snellgrove.
You start the time.
You may or may not remember me, but I own a property 442 Greenwood Beach Road. And I've been around a while, about 38 years. And for the past 20 years, I've been very interested and involved in the safety issues on Greenwood Beach Road. I won't take time to go back through them, but it has included working closely with, over 20 years, 3 town managers, however many town councils. And we were very involved with a transportation safety study done on Greenwood Beach Road. Was that about 10 years ago? Now, yeah, that was then incorporated into the town's master plan. So I would like to say, first of all, that no Greenwood Beach homeowners received notice of tonight's meeting. I just happened to see it 2 nights ago at 11 when I was reading Nextdoor online in bed, and called a couple of my neighbors. In fact, we have not received any communications from the town or the town subcommittee on Greenwood Beach Road since we met with 2 council members in August. We were not advised that this traffic calming study was underway or had been commissioned, knew nothing about it, and were not invited to participate in any way, all of which is very, very disappointing to the residents on the street. My comments on the parametrics recommendation are: 1, the scope of the recommendation covers only the area at the far eastern end of Greenwood Beach Road, where it dead ends at Blackie's pasture. When we met with the 2 council members and spoke to them separately, got a group of neighbors there at length, we went over the concerns that extend through the entire length of the road. The safety of all pedestrians, bikers, auto trucks, and whatever begin with the greatest influx of traffic onto the road, which is from the Tiburon Boulevard, Greenwood Cove intersection. So what this study deals with is just, the area that encompasses the last 4 houses and the dead end, which is not even a third of the project that we're talking about. On the signage, proposed new signage, 3 or 4 new off-the-shelf traffic signs are proposed. My ears perked up with with Timothy's comment. The road, if you drive it for over 20 years, is full of, I didn't count them, but there probably are 20 at least signs that are all what we see here. And clearly, they have not had an effect that has done anything In fact, the latest change was when the street was repaved 2 years ago. Out of the blue, again, no notice. Do you call them emblems that are pressed onto the surface of the surface? In fact, now direct bicycles, not to be on the side, but to be in the main area of flow, which has worsened our situation of safety. I'll speed it up.
Sorry, just a point of order. I think we are out of
Out
time.
of time?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Nancy Peterson, also a resident of Greenwood Beach Road, 444 Greenwood Beach Road. Pam's my neighbor. And I'm going to follow up on exactly what she just talked about, which is that that not being informed about this made it really difficult to all of a sudden have to respond to something that we weren't sure what the scope was. And particularly with this plan, it really just covers a very short distance. Our street, and we have brought this before town council many, many times, that the safety issues really are all along the street. The part all the way from Tiburon Boulevard, first section is not town of Tiburon, so you don't have to worry about it. But starting at Audubon, where we have no sidewalks. And I think that's one of the challenges that really occurs when you add signs that relate to bikes, because it gives bikes a sense that they own that road a little more. You're a biker. I don't mean that in a negative way, because I ride a bike and I am a total supporter. But I think we've got some issues that really have to be looked at. I guess my fundamental recommendation and what I'm bringing to you is this isn't ready to go. That this really needs more thought. And, a couple of you indicated that there's some things we could just do. I think it needs deeper thought than that. Our experience with some of the off-the-shelf solutions haven't made a difference. And in fact, we really do believe it's made it worse for the speed of the bike riders. Could also be that we have more riders. I can't tell that. We don't really have the data. So I think fundamentally, I want to encourage you not to move forward with this in a pretty straightforward way. And we're pretty disappointed as a neighborhood, given the time we spent last year meeting with this subcommittee that now has been ended, without us ever getting any, results of it, without us being included in any of the meeting with parametrics. It feels pretty disingenuous to us. And I think it's really easy to look at Greenwood Beach Road and kind of say we only care about our road, but it's just not the case. We really don't, I would really be disturbed if I hit a bike rider backing out of my garage. We're all so careful about it. And we all really appreciate where we live and want to share it with people. We know people walk a great distance, and we have a lot of walkers, a lot of bikers, strollers, old folks, young folks, kids learning to bike, school kids. And we don't own that property, but we will advocate for what we think are safe solutions for it. So that's really, okay, that's it. I made it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Paul, on the way is this street been worked out with the south here?
Please use the microphone, sir. Can't hear you.
Yeah, unfortunately, nobody.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Bruce Abbott. I live on Greenwood Beach Road. We're the last house.
Would you like the laser pointer to be able to point at it? Or no?
No, it's you can see the last house. There's no confusion.
Yeah,
there.
the question.
I don't think. But anyway, we're at the center of the action here. But my first question is looking at the roundabout and then immediately south of that, is the street going to be widened there?
I think after you finish your time, then we'll talk about that. But so we'll take note of that question.
I think the current plan, it's not widening.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would like to begin by endorsing the comments made by about two neighbors, and especially with reference to the lack of warning of what and preparation time, so we can come in and respond to this. And I know you need to notice the shortage of other members of our neighborhood who did not come, and I assume for the very same reason. And I agree that this particular segment of Greenwood Beach Road is not the center of gravity for the whole problem. It's maybe the worst, but not the so the whole street needs attention, and the most attention it needs is try to do something to divert traffic. And I know we've been through this before. We'll continue with it, but the biggest relief that could be granted to the needs of safety on Greenwood Beach Road is to build a bike path on Highway 131. And the second thing that could be done, I think, is to restrict parking on that end of the street. It's a madhouse down there at times. So, but those fond words, I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I am Sis Muller. I live at 458 Greenwood Beach Road, and I endorse what my neighbors and my husband have said about the problem here. It's an enormous problem for us because the traffic just keeps increasing and increasing. I'm talking about not only cars that are driving, but more and more bicycles and electric bicycles and little children with electric bicycles. They're lovely, but they are a menace as well. And something needs to be done about it. It's dangerous. We try our best. Backing out of our driveways is very dangerous. We have to warn all our guests, please be careful, and so on. And this address here, this something we didn't know anything about, I think, it doesn't address the problem. It just talks about this little area right here. It's the whole street. Another thing is you're talking about closing the driveway there, drive-through thing at all times. I'm not sure, but they were talking about closing it. When you have flooding on by the cove with salt water and we can't drive out there, it had been felt that we were allowed to drive out or in and out right there during the high tide flooding. We can't do that then if that's closed. And then where are we not going to be able to get in and out because we don't want to drive through the salt water. So also we really endorse bike lanes on Tiburon Boulevard. I think that would have answered more of these questions than we have today. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any comments online? There are people?
I see none.
Okay. Let's go back to discussion.
As Chuck pointed out, I did a lot of that.
There's some really good points that have been raised. There's also some discussion that Mike and I had with the subcommittee. That's the nature of that discussion. And I agree with one of the residents who said that this is not fully baked. I strongly actually agree with that. I think it's haphazard. And I know that intent was there, but I don't think it was. I think there needs to be coordination with the county because the section of road roughly around at the Audubon, it turns from the town's roads to the county's road. And then when does it go back to the town's road? Like no, it doesn't. Oh, just at Tiburon Boulevard. Okay. So there needs to be some coordination there. And the supervisor and Safe Routes to School call actually said, I'm interested in trying to address this. And I think there was a great point on the King Tides that I have driven down there. And I know some people who go to the Baptist church who I'm like, oh, they're not going on this Sunday. because they can't get through. And I think that's a great point as well. And I also think that some of the roundabouts and other items that are in front of the Abbott's house is not, it's too tight there. And I think that the addition of the bike continuation on the upper side is that in the long run, when the phase B of the plan, which, I mean, that's it, or phase two, I guess, sorry, B or two. In phase two, when that gets done, there needs to be an off ramp of that bike path into something. And in thinking and planning about that, it would have to be in a kind of a thoughtful way to do that, as well as, and I'm not trying to chide you on this one, Mike G, but reduction of parking in Blackies needs to be done thoughtfully so that it does not impact the neighborhood. Reduction of 3 spots, and I do hate those spots as well. I think it's hard to park in them as well. The whole flow in that whole lot is crazy. It needs to be thought out, and I know that Commissioner Moon is thinking about that as well as part of the whole kind of like, how do we address parking and some of the things. There's just lots of stuff here. I think we can just do a better job. I don't think we need to hire consultants to do it. There's lots of studies that have been done. There's lots of things on the ground that we could add that we know in talking to our bicycle advocates that like ground signage is really what you need. There needs to be a slow, needs to put a safe slow. One of the comments actually from Greg on his letter that representing you all was like, we need to put a slow streets sign here or something. Just being thoughtful about it. And I don't think this is as thoughtful as I wish it could have been. I think the intent was there. That's kind of that's where my mind is.
But really quick on parking spots, totally. I think we can add, there's actually a lot of space there higher up, right? I'm just saying in that one little section, but I agree with you. I'm not saying net take away parking spots necessarily. It's a good point.
Yeah, honestly, I don't have a good pulse on this. You obviously have spent some time, you're a biker and spent some time. So I'm just going to defer to to you guys on this one. I don't feel like I have a strong understanding of everything that's going on. I am mindful of the citizens that have come out and said that they should have been notified and maybe involved more in this process than they have been. So yeah, I'm not too sure kind of what all of the intricacies and nuances of that, how that happened, but it does feel like maybe there needs to be more work to be done. But honestly, I'm going to defer to you guys on this.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for everybody's input. And we definitely want to find good solution that works for everyone. And obviously, the town council is going to be the deciding factor. It's great that at least there's been some time spent.
Well, so on that,
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
But really, and if we approve this, it will just go and get done. It doesn't have to go to town council.
Interesting.
Or as an action item to us, and correct me if I'm wrong, David, we can say like, no, we don't want to forward this to anybody, and we need to do more. I don't want to say more study because I don't want to hire any more. I'm going to use this word. Sorry for the kids out there. Damn consultants. We have spent and we don't do. We study and we don't do. Drives me nuts.
Well, yeah, I guess that's the question is, if we go back to the drawing board, as it were, like, that's what I don't have a good handle on is, should we take the signage when we can get it and leave it open and say we want more done or not even do that? That's kind of a question. To your point, maybe we should let Tim.
Yes.
Also, Tim, if you had anything.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the folks who lived on Greenwood Beach Road were not happy about the other larger study, so I just presume that there was more support right there. For this. I mean, I think, there may be an opportunity for them to maybe I'm misreading this, but it sounds like they didn't see this plan perhaps until It came from Parametrics. They haven't had an opportunity to comment until tonight. It seems like giving them, I don't know that that's a conversation that would happen with Parametrics, but certainly with the subcommittee, to make any comments, or observations on ways that this could improve. Waiting for the broader Tiburon Boulevard study and like moving the bike path there, that's not a realistic short-term solution. So, I mean, I would much rather take an opportunity here and get some additional signage and clean this up. But I want to be respectful to the folks on Greenwood Beach Road. If they feel like they didn't have an opportunity to comment until tonight, it's kind of fair that they should have an opportunity to talk again with the subcommittee. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they did talk to the subcommittee sufficiently, and I'm mishearing that. But that's just kind of where my head is at.
And just to be clear on which subcommittee, you're talking about the subcommittee of the town council,
That's
the
right.
two
The
The
members?
subcommittee of the town council. Yeah, I think that's the only subcommittee that's
I think
active
so.
and that's here. Yeah.
Could I also ask a point of clarification? Why is this a post issue, I guess? Is this part of the parks, like this Greenwood Beach Road?
Well, trails
Trails.
for pedestrians.
Well, it came up, I'll be explicit why this came up. So Mike, you and I are working on safety for the old rail trail and looking at signage. And I recalled that town council members Ryan and Nick Farr had a subcommittee to address this specific item on signage on Greenwood Beach Cove Road, on Greenwood Beach, on that whole road. And so the beach and the cove. And so to have them specifically beach, to have them to see what there was some consistency, because what drives me again crazy in this town is that we don't have any consistency with signage or slows or anything. And I'm like, oh, this would make perfect sense for its continuation onto the old rail trail. That there was some signage here, there was slow stuff, all those pieces. So I just reached out to them and they said, oh, hey, actually, we have the study. Here you go. Talk about it in your next post meeting. And then if you approve it, then we will, there's already been funding approved for this, so it'll just get done.
So that might also be helpful context for the public here, is this was maybe a piece that we were touching of how do we improve safety in general, but we haven't really tackled the entire issue of like, do you have the bike path on the street? I know, that was a big town council.
But that issue is totally separate from this.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to point out. Is I don't know if they're mutually exclusive. I
think they are.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
You don't.
It's just, I think we could clarify what happened.
Are we allowed to?
Street is
If the chair allows it? Yeah.
not clear here.
You may want to spike.
Dave,
Do you want to do a microphone?
Come on out.
David described your history on the subcommittee. I wholeheartely, I think we all do agree with. As when the controversy was going on, over what the town's position was going to be vis-a-vis the Caltrans thing, Greenwood Beach residents were there speaking, pretty emphatically about the fact that it was the bike lanes were necessary because of safety issues on our street. So in the middle of that discussion, the two town council people said, how about if we form a subcommittee and we will go off and meet with the neighbors and, see whether, because they really at that point, they weren't familiar. They didn't even know really what the name of the street was. So at any rate, we thought, fine, but this was definitely connected to the Caltrans thing. And our meetings with the two council members, always, I was there in both of them, included a full scope of safety issues on Greenwood Beach Road. It wasn't a matter of what sign goes where or whatever. It had to do with a major planning of this corridor.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as I said, we didn't hear anything. Greg Peterson wrote, we met with him in August. Greg Peterson wrote a follow-up letter to the two council people and said, you know, it's November, December, and we haven't heard anything back from you. You know, where do things stand? He didn't get a response to that letter. And then 2 nights ago, as I described, I happened to see a posting of this meeting on Nextdoor. So the fact that it has gone off into a signage issue is not what we discussed. And I think that that is perhaps the segue to you all. That's the way that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you feel that, I mean,
Your discussion, so what you're stating here is your discussions, the neighborhood discussion with the council, the subcommittee was related to the bike lanes being officially moved onto Tiburon Boulevard, no bike lanes on Greenwood Beach?
no, it wasn't no bike lanes. It was that the safety situation on Greenwood Beach Road for pedestrians, for bicyclists, for cars and trucks had gotten to the point where it, you know, is so dangerous that we were in support of trying to take the volume off the road. And then they said, okay, we hear that. In the meantime, let's see what we can do to
Which
address.
sounds like this is addressing a portion of the road, but your main complaint is that it doesn't cover like the
Yeah,
full
our
road.
discussion
Okay.
with them included the whole
Right.
corridor.
Okay. So even this section, though, you're not happy with what was presented?
I can speak personally to that, and maybe my neighbors feel differently. When I saw that, what I see happening is, what I said, I don't think that a bunch of all of those signs are going to do the job. They haven't ever done the job on the other part of the street. If I were to recommend a sign, I would support what Timothy alluded to, and that is one sizable sign, custom-made sign that maybe is motion detected, or, you know, and says, slow down, hill, blind drives, something that would catch people's attention. And I personally, we haven't had any big problems at the end of the road. I mean, it has not been, and we're there every day. I think that's kind of creating, when I looked at that, I thought that's creating a solution to a problem that doesn't enormously exist, frankly. The one problem we've had at the end of the road is that for people who are speeding down that hill, they get to the dead end now, and as you can see, the curb has a cut in it, and it's not a straight entrance. And the ones who are speeding will often come down who don't know the road, and they're going so fast they can't make that zigzag into the road. And so if it were my dollar, I would say, you know, put two maybe split rail fences up that show bikers what the angle is when they're further back. I don't know that we have to put roundabouts and spend hundreds of thousands on two paths. That's my personal.
Thank you.
So my point on the difference between California Highway 131 and this is that this just needs to get done anywho, right? It's not safe not only for these guys, but for other bicyclists. And the point is, phase 2 will happen in the future. We don't know when, so we might as well do this right. That's my opinion, as opposed to, no offense to town, no offense to consultants, but kind of half-assing it. That's my opinion. You can quote me on that. It's HALFASS.
Chuck, what would you recommend that we do?
Well, I think we need to look at some, I mean, I don't want to create another subcommittee and delay this stuff. But I think we need to do is take this, talk to the county, get their thoughts on some pieces. The supervisor on a call has said like, yeah, let's try to figure this out. Right. And I reached out to her staff to say like, hey, we're talking about this. Maybe let's figure this out. Including things that are actually the people that we spoke to last week, Mike. So Mike and I were talking to one of the bicycle advocates to say like, hey, what's the kind of signage can we do that's better here? And then have it be California approved, all these other signs that we have to the requirements, but things, it's again, texture on the ground. It's things that bicyclists see because I agree also on the point at the end. There's just that pointy piece. If you don't know that that's there, you'll go flying off of it, particularly if it's dark out or dusk. But coming down the hill, you can get flying pretty fast. I mean, I was on my turn bike and I did say hi to you, Bruce, and you said hi back. So I appreciate that. But it's a heavy level 2 bike. And slowing some things down here, that's one point, but also things ahead to say like, this is a neighborhood, this is, 15 miles per hour sign on the ground. And also this is other signage because it is a safe routes to school route as well, but something that's just a little bit more thought out and just, I don't want to spend tons of thousands of dollars, but I think there's some studies that have been done. My recommendation is maybe we can pull that together, or maybe the subcommittee now of one can pull that stuff together to do that. That's my thinking.
So is the action group this town council subcommittee, or is it a post subcommittee? Like, I'm kind of confused as to who has.
My sense is the town council subcommittee has closed.
Okay. So you're recommending that a post subcommittee look at, well, it sounds like we should look at the whole road, not just a section of the road, with some additional input from the residents, from bikers, from county, and come back at a some time for a new recommendation. Is that what you're looking?
I mean, that would be one. I guess there's three potentials. One is that recommendation, which I appreciate you putting words around that. The second is we make no changes and nothing happens. Or third is we go, yes, town, approve this plan as given to us today. Those are the three, I think.
Is our last item not creating? I'm confused. I don't know if the last item is an existing subcommittee or not. It's one we've had a bunch of times. Could we not just put this item within the jurisdiction of that subcommittee? It's an extension of that. I mean, maybe you guys want to keep the old rail trail separate from this, but
no, we could
essentially the same thing.
Agree. Well, we could. It's just that it's a subcommittee now of one because Ghaffari is retiring.
Oh, got it. Well, I'm sure we'll have some new blood here soon who would love to dive into this issue.
Okay, so of those three options, what are you recommending, Chuck? Seems like you're closest to this.
I mean, I don't want to create more work for the subcommittee of one, which is me. I just don't, the pay scale here is just not the best. I mean, I think it's doing something and working with the town to try to in the county to figure out something.
Sounds like you're recommending number one.
I'm recommending number one.
Out of those three, unless we're missing an option, I think that was a good articulation of the logical possibilities. Sounds like the residents that are here are in support of number one more than number two, do nothing. And more than number three.
So the three options on the table are one, and then it'll turn into like we do nothing is the motion basically. But one is the current bicycle safety pedestrian subcommittee that exists for the Parks, Open Space and Trails Commission will take this and extend into the Greenwood Beach Road as well as Greenwood Cove Road, and working with the county to figure out a better strategy on this signage in coordination with all the other safety measures that are on the rest of Old Rail Trail. The second option is
I would add to that and some more collaboration with the neighbors.
Yeah. Collaboration
with bikers. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. All those stakeholders have to be involved in this, Mike. But thank you for highlighting that. Second option is do nothing.
Say no and don't spend more time on it.
Don't
Say
spend
no
more
to that.
time on it. It just kind of exists as it is. It's kind of, cerebus paribus.
Yeah.
And then
Option three,
Option 3 is just
vote pass this.
take those.
Option 3 is like, say the agenda, thumbs up, we'll do this.
Yeah.
So are we allowed, you guys all raise your hand for option 1? Is there anyone who wanted option 2 or 3? I don't think that that's what we were hearing. 1 or 2, yeah. It sounds like number 1, if you're willing to take it on, is the logical.
Yeah, it's a little frustrating, but yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking that on.
I'll help you, Chuck. The county will
Well,
as well.
Okay. So do we have enough for that number 1 motion, or do we need to restate it? Oh, Tim, did you have anything else
comment?
you wanted to say before we try to wrap a resolution? Okay.
So the motion here is to include this Greenwood Beach Road and Cove study as part of the subcommittee that is looking at the old rail trail safety, and then work with the county, with staff, the bicycle coalitions, the neighborhood to come up with a future plan that will mitigate all of their issues on that roadway.
As many as we possibly can.
As many as we can.
Okay.
That's the motion.
Good. Do we
Okay.
need a motion though?
Well,
I mean,
yeah, I don't know.
I'll tell you.
Do we technically need a motion?
I mean,
Good question.
Yeah, he's saying that's functionally equivalent to not passing this
Yeah,
motion.
Not passing. Yeah.
Basically not making a motion. And then Chuck's just agreeing to do those things.
keep me honest, people.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I think it's just the commission elected, nobody made a motion.
Technically, because it's the subcommittee for the old rail trail, I don't think that encompasses it. So would technically a motion be made just to include that subcommittee now includes?
And the authority of the old rail trail, bicycle and pedestrian safety on the old rail trail to bicycle and pedestrian safety from the Audubon Society to the end of the old rail
If I
trail.
may quote Cartman, I have the authority. No snorting in the background,
Okay.
Francisco.
Does someone want to make that motion? Yeah.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, roll call, Chair Moon,
Yes.
Vice Chair Gafari,
Yes.
Commissioner Hornbrook,
Yes.
Commissioner Burr.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, so let's move to D1, bicycle and pedestrian safety on the old rail trail. Discussion.
And down to
Greenwood
Audubon
Beach
Society.
Cove, Greenwood Beach Road, Greenwood Cove, and
Right.
Greenwood Beach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bruce. Thanks for being here.
Appreciate it.
Always
Thank
good to see you.
Thank you for coming.
I'll send you, call me or something.
Okay, you're gonna send something.
Okay,
All right.
let's go to the next slide. So this is just a report. Oh, thanks, David. And is there a way that the cameras can make my hair look less gray and also this like bald spot that I have in the back? We can work on that, please. Thanks. Why is it so unfocused? Or is it just my eyes? So this is just a high level. We can use this many times. The Old Rail Trail is a historic significance to the town. It was converted to multi-use a number of years ago, back in the 70s. It is a huge a number of things, and I think we have to always realize that it's a lot of people come here because it's got its cultural significance. There's many signage on it. There's something about the dairy. It's just it's a lovely place that people come to our town to visit. It's got also a lot of it acts as sustainable transportation infrastructure, and it's a lot of just it's a resource for everybody in the community, as I mentioned. If you could go to the next, thanks, David. So its current use patterns are obviously during the weekday, it's used for the trails, right? So it's used as a bicycle. I mean, if you go there in the morning, and we continue to try to encourage it, and there's lots of bicycle advocates in town of either this is a photo of a bike train heading off to Reed. A lot of them come out of the Belveron East and West communities and then head across there. There's a number of fathers and mothers that work with their kids on that. It's also used as, I mean, lots of people use it to commute to the ferry. It's got a lot of seasonal usage. You'll see a lot of people on there this weekend. If it's, again, nice weather, you'll see a lot of people last weekend. And it's also used, it's part of the infamous Paradise Loop, which a number of people in the city of almost 1 million people who lives to the south of us use to bicycle. And that's how actually Mike Ghaffari and I got to know Tiburon. That's how I got to know it.
Infamous, huh?
It's infamous. And it's also a way, and then the traffic study actually mentioned it as a way, as a conduit to reduce traffic on Tiburon Boulevard. Thanks.
That is a key point. Thanks for pointing that out. The safer we make that, the better for all the residents who are walking on that trail, and, you know, makes people feel safer about not using cars.
That's right.
Actually improving traffic.
So I'm going to go to my laptop because I can't see that far. Damn it. So a couple items on it that we've got feedback on anecdotally. It is also some of the work that the town's doing is there's poor lighting conditions. There's some certain sections that there's no lighting at all, and it's hard to see, or it's shaded. So not even if there's lighting or even the moonlight, you can't even see on it. It's got some inadequate crosswalk marking and slow zones, so it's not really clear like where people come in and out, whether it's at San Rafael Boulevard, whether it's at the playground, on the old rail trail at South of Knoll, even along McKegney Green. There's no like markings of like where you should slow down, or where Reed Elementary is, or where it ends at Mar West. Also, just there's just poor and inadequate signage about how to go where. There's just wayfinding that's just very poor, that a lot of the bicycle community actually gave feedback on. There's lots of trail congestion and collisions. Now, the good news is that there's very few reported accidents on the old rail trail. However, there's always some close calls. And then again, on Saturdays and Sundays in particular, the space on the trail just to the east of McKegney Green is incredibly crowded. So it's in the Del Mar, there's a drop off there. There's some paths coming down. It's also up off of Stewart Drive. That whole section there on game days is incredibly crowded. And it is just somebody not paying attention in their who are cleated in on their bicycle cleats, waiting to see a 5-year-old who doesn't think to look up and around, because that's what 5-year-olds do. Unfortunately, nothing against 5-year-olds. They're great people. And then the speed and signage. The speed and signage is somewhat unclear, because it's 15 miles an hour, and then it says 8 miles an hour when you're near someone. It's very
near.
Yeah, how near is that? And it's kind of difficult to enforce, I think. It's very subjective versus objective. And then also, again, feedback on improvements that I've already received, and Mike's received these as well, is there's very little lack of enforcement by the Tiburon Police Department, and partially it's expensive to do, right? I mean, do we really need a sworn officer patrolling on a sworn officer, somebody can legally carry a firearm in our state? Do we really need that expensive resource, making sure that people are driving at a safe speed, that people only over 16 are driving level 2 or level 3 bicycles? I mean, there's a question of whether or not on that in terms of enforcement, and just general safety on the old rail trail. Specifically, and known issues that we do know about is the old rail trail is exactly 17 feet wide at most of its section. And David, you're fair to like call me out on that if that's not the case. It's got 10 feet of paved space with between 3 and 4 feet on either of the right side on the uphill, the Richardson Bay side or the road side. So roughly it's about 17 feet. pretty narrow. There's not a lot of space for other things. There needs to be actually wider space. Either 18 feet would be like the minimum. The Mill Valley Sausalito Trail is 21 and a half feet wide. So it's 4.5 feet wider than ours. So literally almost a bicycle width, which is the same, about 5 feet is what you need for a bike.
And just for apples to apples, are you comparing their paved section to our paved plus unpaved? Or you're saying you're
Both.
counting their paved and unpaved?
I'm counting their paved and
Okay,
unpaved.
okay,
So
okay.
apples to apples.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
The other thing is the old rail trails that I mentioned is 15 miles per hour, 8 when people are present. The Mill Valley Bike Path is 15 miles an hour, except to a point where there's congestion, which is basically at the dog park all the way to Blithedale. That whole section is 10 miles per hour because there's a dog park, there's a playing fields, there's a volleyball court, and there's a roundabout, and there's a middle school. So it's somewhat heavily trafficked, but it's 21 and a half feet wide. It's again full width wider than ours. Ours has no, as I mentioned, texture or any kind of changes where there's congestion. The Mill Valley Sausalito Mill Valley Trail has in those sections, and this is all county space too. So if you're wondering like who paid for it, who did it, it's county. Right, David? Okay. And on that, so there's sections that show that. We don't have any of that. We need enforcement, and there needs to be just better entry of the path at the north end, which is up by the parking lot, which is very just unclear. So I just added that in, is that the entry on the north end is also used for cars as well, for that one section for going to the sanitation district. And again, it's not very clear about like where the cars should go. And again, our assumption should be is that the users of the old rail trail don't know where to go, because I'd say at least half of them are not full-time residents. And even at that point, it's like, if you're walking your dog, you're not like paying attention, or you're listening to a podcast, you're not listening to the traffic behind you because you're not assuming a truck would be behind you. Next slide is the point, and this is getting like we've done some great work, is leveraging existing work that we've done. So this is from a study from 2012, which is looking at exactly that section on the north side between the parking lot up to the settling ponds. And these are drawings that are on the right, that are on the right side of this. So the first one is the existing condition, which is on 12 feet on one side and then 10 on the other, in which its traffic is going one way on the other, and then people in traffic are going either north or south, but they're so it's people and bikes together. And then some of the suggestions have been is either to do that, which is option A, but option B, which is a lot what they do in Europe, is put all the walkers together and then put a divider where the bicyclists are. So that way, again, if you're walking, you're like, oh, I can walk 2 by 2. I'm okay with that. As opposed to somebody behind you going like, on your right, when there's a bicyclist coming by. And then I think that might be a suggestion, and this is just an informational, we can make some decisions on this, is then you could maybe put the trucks would be where the bikes are, right? So we would force a sanitation district to say like, yes, you have to come in and out, but you have to go on this side where it's bicycles only, something like that.
So to be clear, in this diagram, you're proposing, and I would agree if that's what you're proposing, option B, the bottom diagram.
Yes, I am.
Just to be clear for everyone, which I think is very smart. And all the bicycle safety advocates everyone talk to, it's like try to keep all the bikers in one place and all the pedestrians in another place, instead of this like kind of very mixed use situation we have now.
How much width do you need to do option B?
Well, in this drawing, which is from that study, it's a total of 26 feet. And we know that that's 30 feet down there when we were on the call with the RHAA consultants, when they were like, how wide is that trail right there?
At sanitation ponds. Yeah, we don't have that the whole way, but at sanitation ponds, we do have the width.
We need 26 to do that.
Right, but that's in front of the sanitation ponds only. There's another drawing for the rest of the trail, which if I can show next, that's a nice lead on. So going to the next slide, which unfortunately it's a little blurry, and this is from, so the photo on the left is the Sausalito Mill Valley Bike Trail with the kind of the texture brick on the bottom there. So again, and there's right to your right on that trail is where those fields are, and there's an entrance to walk down to the dog park. So that's super convenient and easy. This was actually taken during the pandemic. You can see some people with some masks over on the left. And then this blurry picture, and I need to get a higher res one, is 18 feet across. And this is from actually One TAM, which is an advocacy group for just working with all the different organizations. And this is for some of the work that they want to do on the Sausalito Mill Valley Bike Trail. And it's basically, again, the bicyclists on the right. So you've got each one is 4 feet wide. So it's a total of 8. And then on the other side is 2 pedestrians wide. So, and I can get a higher res one this, but the whole thing right there is 18 feet. So it's literally just a half a foot more than what was on the old rail trail at the narrowest. I would try to go wider if we can, as much as in areas. And that's just an opportunity on that. And that's one of the questions maybe in the long run, and not sure how to phrase it to the staff, is how wide can we make the old rail trail? Are we limited by just what we can do there? Is there, I mean, there's going to be physical barriers, but then there might be some other just like, the permitting and other things to go through that would be arduous to add another foot. So it's like, okay, understood. Let's just be realistic. I mean, I think we just need to think about that and say like, yeah, we can do it here. Like, to do that would take, a super long time, and let's not do it. Moving on to the next slide is one of the things that I'm not sure how we do it, and it's working with other advocacy groups here in town and elsewhere, is just better continued education and continued educational, that's bad English, Chuck, education and safety, which is basically more trail etiquette signage, and making sure where the location of the signage makes sense. I put safety brochure distribution, but it's probably just QR codes. That's dated on my part. Continued school-based safety programs. So they do a great job. There's again, an organization called Safe Routes to School, which actually started here in Marin, and it goes through the Marin County Bicycle Coalition. There's every 3-month call, and they do a lot of training and education both at Bel Air and at Del Mar to help the kids understand better with schools about, just proper usage, but it's also trying to work on and do that better. And then it's also working with improved enforcement visibility. So I'm not sure that this is in our purview, but it is a way to promote more bicycle safety and smart usage on the old rail trail, which is everything from you got to be 16 or older to drive a level 2 or level 3 bicycle. The schools have done a great job on that. They basically enforce it. If you ride up into it with a level 3 bike or a level 2 bike on campus, you are told to remove your bicycle, and I think they call home, which is, part of that. The role is that's what the vice principal is supposed to do, but that's what they do, and it's trying to figure out those pieces. There's another thing that we need to do also is codify that in the state of California you can actually ride a level 3 bicycle on trails, and the town of Tiburon says you can't do that, and we need to address that exception because that's not actually the state law. So we need to figure those. There's opportunities to update the town code on this, and then communication more broadly on days when it is congestion, similar to the traffic on Tiburon Boulevard. We know when there's times that you don't want to leave. As a bicyclist in San Francisco, I should be informed, like, yeah, don't come on there's a big fall kickoff for the soccer. Well, no, for the soccer down on McKegney Green, and it is 2 days of lots of soccer, and it's usually like either Labor Day weekend or the weekend after that or the weekend before Labor Day. I mean, it's just literally letting people know, and we have to figure out a way to do this digitally it's a low cost. It's just to let people know, like, if you're going to come cycling here, don't come after 9 a.m. So I think we need to just figure that out. And then the last 3 slides are opportunities for ongoing public input. So this is actually a slide from the strategic plan that we did, and it basically highlights, hey, there's a pinch point right there where the settling ponds are between McKegney Green. So it's already been identified as like, we need to address this. And it's ongoing in doing those pieces. Also, and I'm not sure if we've done this yet, we've created the online questionnaire on the website yet? Working on it. So one of the things that Commissioner Grafari and I have done is we've asked the town to put up a survey that basically you can come in and identify like where you think the challenges are on the old rail trail, and then suggestions for improvements. So we can just crowdsource those pieces, because while I ride it all the time, I may have a different experience than somebody else, and somebody's going to have some other insights that we don't have as a subcommittee. So I think it's just really important to try to get those pieces of information, and we can expand that maybe even to Greenwood Beach and Greenwood Cove Road. Why not? And then finally, there's 2 items, and I'm going to maybe ask David to opine on these. Is there actually 2 items in the traffic study highlighting bicycle or improvements to the old rail trail? One is this first one, which is there's kind of a covered bridge area, which is just to the south of Reed Elementary. As you come to town, the trail kind of splits, and there's a bridge there, which if you didn't know, there's a drainage from the hillside coming down through there. And there needs to be some like 2x4s propped up to make sure things don't fall over right now. So it's a pretty unsafe, it's a very poorly lit area. So I don't know, David, if that's in the budget, I think, and if there's an update on that.
Yes, so that is in the budget for design this year, and we received our 35% submittals, or the conceptual plan that's here on this slide.
Okay.
Right now, we are in contract to create 100% buildable designed plans. So yes, it's in the budget to get us plans to go out to bid.
Okay, thank you. So this is for improved safety and usage. It's pretty utilitarian. But then the bigger one, which is this intersection at San Rafael, which is pretty expensive because mostly it has to do with some rerouting, some undergrounding, some utilities there, I think, on the corner. But if you've ever been on that, I think all of you guys have, and Tim, you maybe have as well, is the sight lines there are awful. You can't see other directions. If you're like a little person, you can't see at all. Thank goodness there's a crossing guard there. However,
but not
yeah,
not after sports, not on the weekend.
Yeah, not on the weekend.
Yeah.
And it's and the curves are really kind of funky. So you have to go up and then back down. It's just really, it's a tough intersection if you're if you're walking or if you're on a bicycle. So David, what is the status on this project? It's a much more expensive project too, I might add.
This is a very expensive project there. Because we have to have some coordination, 1 with Caltrans, 2 with Belvedere, and us, just that little portion on the bottom there as it goes into San Rafael. So we are in the process of finalizing this conceptual plan. It is part of the traffic study that will come back to council here in the next month or so to adopt. And once this is adopted, this actual intersection could be something that the town pursues on its own, or it's considered as part of option number 2 with Caltrans when they bring in the bike lanes, because option 2 with Caltrans, the CAPM project, includes the bike lanes and additional improvements that the Safe Routes to School had submitted to them, along with what we have shown in here, the sidewalks from Gilmartin to San Rafael, this intersection improvement, and the Avenida Miraflores sidewalk widening for the school. The middle school stuff, yeah.
Okay, got it. As well as maybe the sidewalk from Gilmartin
to San Rafael.
San
Yes,
Rafael.
correct.
So just quick, high level, the primary reason to change this intersection is?
1, to slow down the vehicles that are making that right turn onto San Rafael, so that vehicles can see the pedestrians there at the intersection because of the elevation difference. It's very hard to see young children. Already right now, you have pedestrians using the dirt pathway going, to the west. So this right here is just to align it better visual, and slow down the motorists that are making that right turn from Tiburon Boulevard onto San Rafael, choking that intersection.
But the big expense is the utilities and the other work that has to be done.
Yes.
because there's a bunch of undergrounding that's there, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So that's all I have. Mike, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I mean, thanks for putting this together. I think it's a great overview. That San Rafael one, just since you just had that up, I think that is another one I experience routinely. And for kids, I really worry about that one because it's tough. People are coming out of Belvedere. That's basically the main access point out for a lot of Belvedere. And so they're turning out of there. They don't want to hit kids, but they can't see what's going on. Thank goodness for the crossing guard, to your point. But when that person is not there, which is 90% of the time, and at more than 50% of the traffic has no crossing guard when, present, it's much more dicey. And anyway, I think all of these things are great. You talked about the speed. I think back to one of your earlier comments of, I think I'm trying to recall the exact wording on the sign to say 15, but 8 miles an hour when pedestrians are present.
Yeah.
So what does present mean? It doesn't even say near, it's present. So present could be anywhere. While it would be inconvenient for me and other bikers to slow down, I think it's the right thing to do. And I think you just have to probably just give them a speed. To our earlier point on enforcement, there's, in off-peak hours, is there going to be enforcement anyway when there's no pedestrians? Probably not. But I think giving one clear speed, so it's very obvious to them if they see any pedestrians that this is the speed they've got to stick to, I think is our best shot. And then I do think that enforcement is important, even if rare, and even if there's an education and warnings component to it. But here and there, at least a few actual tickets with teeth, I think has a big amplifying impact. I remember years ago when, Sausalito just issued a few tickets here and there to cyclists who didn't stop at red lights and ran through their town in dangerous ways. Word got out in the entire San Francisco, Sausalito tickets, you be careful. And the entire bike community slowed down in Sausalito for years because of a few traffic tickets. So whoever is enforcing it, whether it's a sworn-in officer or not, I think a little bit, while it might not be efficient to dedicate a sworn-in officer to it, if we're just going to have a few selective, and we already have, I think, someone patrolling every once in a while anyway, if they're out there anyway, having them every once in a while for the most egregious, try to, do some enforcement might be worthwhile.
Agreed. Tim, do you have any questions?
No questions. I think this is a good overview of things.
So
that
I think from an
continue.
action item, oh, sorry, yes?
No questions.
So from an action item, I mean, my goal is to take this and bring at least 1 or 2 action items in the next meeting. I do have a question just from town staff, and David, you can say nope, can't figure that out, or no, we need to, is the widening or the re-slurring of the old rail trail will be done in 2 years?
2 years out.
So 2028.
28.
Okay. So in 2027, we'd need to, if there was a decision and expense to make a widening or understanding that, just so we understood the scope, what would be a process to figure out how wide we could make that old rail trail?
So we've got the right of way all the way up to somewhere within that vegetation. Now it depends. Some sections, we just don't have any way of widening because, I call it the Narrows, right after the tennis club. The bike trail goes between the two mounds, large hills. Be kind of tough and expensive to widen out there, but between the tennis courts and all the way to San Rafael, that I think if we need a couple feet going towards Tiburon Boulevard, I have to look at the right-of-way map, but I believe we do have some room there, but it would eliminate some of that vegetation that we have out there, the planting, the median there between Tiburon Boulevard and the Old Rail Trail. Between San Rafael and basically to the bridge project here, we've got right-of-way. If we have to go a foot on either side to expand it, yes. But we would have the design would have to start sometime next year this time so that they are completed. And this is a change. CEQA, it falls under class 2 maybe 3. So meaning it's just a notice of exemption on this because we're not changing the facility. We're maintaining it and just expanding a little bit of the same. So I'm not very concerned about the CEQA for that. BCDC, because we're right there, that would be about a 3-month process. So right now it all depends on how town council would react to widening it, removing some of that planter area, and the cost of design, because you're looking at least close to 3 miles worth of design.
So
Yeah.
Maybe 2.5.
So I was thinking that as a straw man, and then of course there'll be lots of modifications and nuances, but a plan of at least 18 feet wide with the European style design that you're recommending for the whole trail, right? And we can look at the feasibility of that. And then in sections that are more heavily trafficked, we try to make it wider, whether it's 21 or whatever the right thing is. But that we're not necessarily trying to make everything 21. But let's just do 18 for everything, a little wider for the heavily trafficked areas, and then the sections that are the most dangerous because of speed, we put in physical bumps or whatever I saw that was it Mill Valley or Sausalito did.
It's referred to as stamped brick.
Yeah,
is what
stamped
they do.
brick or whatever other physical thing. Because I think it's great for education and it's great for like maybe having an officer out there once in a while writing tickets, and signs are great. But just human nature, like people are just not necessarily going to follow all of that. So for me, it's like if you have the infrastructure improvement of that European style where pedestrians and bikers are separated, that's good safety right there. Wider and more trafficked areas, and then bumps where you physically have to slow down in places where we probably should have bikers slow down. Then maybe, and then in addition to that, we have the signs and everything else. But like at least from a physical infrastructure standpoint, then you feel a little bit more comfortable where we're almost forcing people to be more safe without any enforcement needed.
Yeah, agreed with all of that.
Yeah. So, and is the slurry project, is that where we get funds from the state or the county? Is that why we would have to wait?
No, it's just we have a PMP, which is our pavement management index that we program that we have in place, and it states which year which streets in town get paved based on their index, how good they are or how bad they are. Old Rail Trail was slurried back in 2020, I believe. So it's right now in that time, it's getting time to put some more suntan lotion on it. But one good thing about this is that I was going to let the commission know is that January or July 1st, the new fiscal year, we again receive, or we ask for our typical $50,000 for bike ped improvements that we ask for council in the budget every year. And I think that would be a good time for me to reach out to our PEI, who's our pavement engineer consulting firm. They're the ones that designed actually the whole slurry. So they have the plan from the parking lot all the way to Mar West already drawn out. And they can, maybe it'd be a very small fee for them to look at it and see what's feasible to do as far as where we can widen, where we can't, and what we can do. So that's something we can look at this summer to see what's even feasible, and they'll let us know, and I can present that, and then we can work with the areas that we can widen or we do have the room that would work. And then we would take that conceptual plan. We bring that conceptual plan here to town to post, which would recommend to town council, and we'd go to town council, say this is what it looks like. Give us the green light, and we can start designing this the following year when it's time to design the paving project for the Old Rail Trail.
Okay.
Cool. That'd be great.
And I think we all know this, but the thing to keep in mind for us and for town council is a big part of the impetus for us to think about it again. And thank you, Chuck, is this goes hand in hand with sanitation ponds development. Like if we're going to increase traffic and have more people, we really should try and make it as safe as possible. And that's where we do have that 21 feet possibility.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Like, this was overdue anyway. Yeah. Like we wanted this anyway, and the sanitation ponds just it's like it's going to get more impacted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Great.
Thank
Tim,
you.
any
Thanks, Tim.
comments?
No comments.
Okay. So that was a discussion item, so there's no vote or anything needed. Okay. Well, at this time, I wanted to thank Mike Ghaffari. This is his last meeting. We're sorry to see you go. I personally really enjoyed working with you. I love your action-oriented style and wanting to get things done. So it's sad to see you go. But
Mike, we didn't ask for comment on the discussion.
oh, is there anybody online? Sorry.
There's one person, but
Oh, that's
okay.
Oh.
Yeah, no comment.
Any comment?
Um, okay, that's a good catch. We'll do that. Okay, so just to finish up, and then we'll go to that. Thank you for your service, and good luck with the Reed board.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good luck. Well done,
Thank you.
Mike.
Really enjoyed working with you guys and excited for everything ahead, what we talked about tonight in the previous meetings. So thank you. And I look forward to continuing to try to be as helpful as possible. Please don't be shy. Call on me.
Great. All right, so with that, a good catch. We should open up for any comment or any comments that are not on the agenda, right, to the public. So if there's anything,
I see none.
okay, all right. So any other action items, anything we need to talk? Okay, then I will call for an adjournment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks all.